Now, over the weekend, we also did get the West Bloomfield Lakers football to hit the road for their first ever playoff game, playing the district semifinal at Novi High School against the 5-4 Wildcats. Defensive physicality was an early highlight as they made multiple offensive drives stop and held Novi scoreless in the first 17 minutes of the game. We're going to break that game down in its entirety, as right now I am joined by West Bloomfield football color commentator for Civic Center TV at 89.3 Lakes FM, Matt Catoni. What's going on, Matthew?
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Hey, thanks for being here, man. First and foremost, we walked away with another victory. Happy to see that, especially in the playoffs. What stood out to you about the Lakers' defensive approach going up against a Novi team that had a lot of success moving the football this season?
Yeah, they were really just dominant up front, and you just heard that from the announcers the entire game. Jeremiah Benson, Chops Pittman really had an impact this game. Chops Pittman coming away with another pick six, and just that front seven has really just been dominant in these wins that we've seen them rack up this season in these blowouts. And coming into a game next week, playing one of the best teams in the entire state, we're going to need to see a repeat of that performance.
Man, talk about it. Josh Tate, 12 carries, 86 yards. He walked away with a touchdown. Elijah Durham, 3 catches, 97 yards, a touchdown. Like you said, Lakers just dominating on both sides. But how much of a factor do you think the Lakers' physicality came into play, making an early game push against the Wildcats?
Yeah, I really think that physicality was the main thing for the offense, especially. It opened up both the run game and pass game. And when that offensive line is playing and moving people like it was on Friday, it's going to be hard to beat this Lakers team. And especially when both quarterbacks are playing as well as they have been in recent weeks. Shakespeare having 3 touchdowns, Bo Jackson playing tremendous over the last several weeks.
Yes.
And it's just going to be interesting to see how this game against Catholic Central goes, just basing it off of this last performance against Novi.
Good point. Good point. Bo Jackson, by the way, 6 for 9 passing, 126 yards with a TD. That sounds very efficient to me right there. Joining us right here live on The Splash, West Bloomfield football color commentator for Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM, Matt Catoni, talking about the West Bloomfield Lakers football team walking away with a victory in their first road game playoff performance against the Novi Wildcats. Now, we need this to continue on. How do you feel like their physicality should continue as we continue for our next game? Looking forward to Catholic Central this week and either Belleville or Saline if they win on Friday.
Well, going up against Belleville will be another animal in itself, playing one of the best quarterback prospects in recent years. But this week, playing Catholic Central, got to just keep that 1 week at a time mindset. And it kind of seems like this team last week was playing with a chip on its shoulder, knowing that, people aren't necessarily expecting them to go on a run just based on their record. Right. But going back to what Coach Hilbers has said throughout the season, sometimes necessarily your record doesn't show what you are in the OAA Red because, you're just kind of beating each other up and you lose some close games sometimes and it affects your record. Now, going into this week, it's going to be kind of a similar thing. You're going to want to see that physicality, which is more of a mindset from the front seven and the offensive line. And if that offensive line is able to move people again and get that run game going, I don't see them losing the game behind Josh Tate.
Yeah, 100%. Even continuing on, we got Coach Hilbert saying that the team played well by putting together all of the good from throughout the season without much of the bad showing up. And obviously, it showed up in a big way on the scoreboard and in a time where we needed during the playoffs. Now, kind of looking at things offensively, we said a lot of people got a chance to touch the ball, taking it to the end zone. But offensively, what stood out to you as the most important factor in West Bloomfield winning in this blowout win?
Again, it's just that offensive line and how they were moving people and opening up lanes in the run game, not just for Tate. Right. Shakespeare was able to run the ball exceptionally as well, and just how that opens up things for the pass game is just incredible. And now that Bo Jackson has been in rhythm these past few weeks, and as you mentioned, his efficiency in recent weeks is even better. Just the connection that him and Durham have been able to form on the deep ball is just really gives them the potential to score at any moment.
That's a good point. Yeah, the offensive line, very, very important. I don't think too many people think about the factor that they are in the game and protecting the quarterback, giving him enough time to scramble, look through the field, make the decisions, and also open up that hole for the running backs, for the runners to go through. Josh Tate to do exactly what he does also. What do you think makes West Bloomfield, or what do you think they need to do to go on to Catholic Central Stadium and pull off a huge upset against a top 5 team?
Well, I really think they got to, stay within themselves, stay composed. Don't try and really force the issue and try and just, make shock plays, try and go for the big plays just to go for the upset. Just, play within yourselves, try and get the run game going, try and have an efficient drive to start off the game, eat up some clock, and just try and assess the game from there and see how Catholic Central is going to play you.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I just want to point out 300 rushing yards in the game. Crazy. I think they did fantastic this year. And I just going back to speaking to that O-line that you were talking about. But just talking about Jamal Shakespeare again, he basically showed up when he had to throughout this game. I want to say that. So he was pretty much a key factor for the win against Novi. Who do you think could possibly or would be or should be the key factor player in a win going against Catholic Central?
Well, I think going up against an offense as high-powered as Catholic Central's, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So I'm expecting a big game from Elijah Durham. We've seen him, throughout the years have big games in these moments, and the announcers themselves in the game mentioning he's very prone to having 2 touchdowns in big games. I wouldn't be surprised if he racks up multiple scores this week.
And that's what we need, too. We definitely need that. Hopefully, he hears this and hear the call and step up to the plate. Big players show up and play big games, by the way. Last but not least, just any additional notes that you've seen from West Bloomfield Lakers throughout the season or throughout the first playoff game of the season so far, Matt?
Well, I just think they are playing their best football right now. And we mentioned earlier in the year, it doesn't necessarily matter what your record is, if it's pretty or not. You just got to get into the playoffs and go from there and kind of have that March Madness mindset. And right now, I think they're there, and it's just incredible to see how they're playing their best football at the most important time of the year.
I 100% agree. This is when it matters. Forget the rest of the regular season and those losses. This is when it matters and we show up. Hey, I want to thank you again for showing up and giving us a little bit of your time. West Bloomfield football color commentator for Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM, Matt Catoni. Thank you again, sir.
Yep, thank you for having me.